So all this week, we're focusing on ways to help you become stronger in just 15 minutes a day. You can do that, right?
I can handle 15 minutes. 15
minutes. And today's crash course is on becoming more assertive.
Author Vikki Carrel joins us. And the difference here is clear, direct communication. You say, here's my problem. I get scared of the word assertive because it sounds like it's being mean. It sounds like it's being overbearing. And I don't know if I want to be assertive.
Bullies are assertive.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's because there's a difference between assertive and aggressive. Assertive is just clear-cut communication. It's effectively expressing your feelings and your opinions without feeling anxious and angry. That's the key. It's middle ground between being bullied and being a doormat.
Where do women fall on that scale? Do you think women could benefit, I mean, just generally speaking, from becoming more aggressive and learning these skills?
Sure, because when you become assertive and learn that skill, a couple things happen. It actually decreases your stress and increases your confidence. And whether we're female or male, everyone can benefit from that.
But I think it's more acceptable for men to be aggressive and assertive. They're sort of taught that. They're trained that.
Right.
It's sort of the hunter-protector, you know, kind of thing. And people almost encourage that, and they never would encourage that in a woman.
Well, and that's kind of where I was going with that question. What situations do you feel people could be more assertive in? I mean, a man certainly maybe plays that out in an office setting or a workplace more often. Where can a woman use these skills?
Well, it can start at home, dealing with your children. Your son wants to go to the basketball game at 7 o'clock. You say to him, you can go to the basketball game at 7 o'clock, but your homework needs to be done. You state the fact, it's clear, cut, no opportunity for manipulation. So starting at home is a great place for women, so they feel comfortable. An idea, answer a yes-no question with a yes-no answer. Don't give a lot of extra information. That's a great place to learn. The skill, it is a skill of becoming more assertive, but don't confuse it with aggressive.
We want to learn the skill because we want to have that clear communication that isn't going to make us turn us into a doormat or be overbearing. So you got 5 phrases, 5 great things that we can say. What's the first thing that we need to learn how to say here?
You might start with, I'm really not prepared to support that idea. I'm not prepared to support that idea.
So that's in a situation where opinions are kind of flying around? Or?
Exactly. You might start with that. And one mistake we often make is we use qualifiers. And a qualifier, an example of that would be, well, you might think I'm crazy, but, or I'd like pizza for dinner. Is that okay? Well, the minute you say okay, it opens up the door for the person to say, no, that's not okay. I want tacos for dinner. So when we use qualifiers, we actually diminish or decrease the importance of our opinion and our feeling.
Let's talk about emotions. You have some tips for helping us express our emotions in an assertive way, which I think of emotions as so soft and so sensitive. But what are some key phrases we can have in our back pocket to express those emotions with confidence?
That's a good point. When you interrupt me, I feel angry. So I'm stating the situation and then I'm attaching the feeling. It's about being responsible for yourself and your feelings and using I statements. I feel, I am, I need, I want. It's a great place to start.
You say also focusing on facts is a great way to do this as well. Give us an example of how that would work.
Okay. You've come home late the last few nights. I'm concerned. So what you're doing is you're sticking with facts and focusing on behavior and not accusing. If you were to change that and say, you've come home late the last few nights, you break the rules, and I can't trust you. That is accusing, and it immediately moves us from assertive to aggressive.
It opens the door up to have a whole other conversation that you don't really want to have. You're just stating the facts.
Right.
You don't want to get into debate on curfews and what they were doing and if you trust them or not. Just get the facts out.
Well, because then they shut down. I mean, you need to build trust, and then maybe at the end of the conversation say, when you come in late, then I have a hard time trusting you. But don't blast out with that, because it's going to move it to aggressive rather than assertive.
Expounding on that situation, what about those scenarios where the mood is pretty heated, it's pretty tense, maybe it's an argument, a fight? Is that a time to play out these assertive skills, or do you pull back?
Well, it depends, but an idea there would be to say, I sense you're frustrated, and I understand your reaction. Let's come back to this tomorrow. What you're trying to do there is just some cool down time, and to let the person know that you're sensing that. You really want to diffuse a situation that's not going to be, it's going to be counterproductive. It's like putting your conversation in a timeout so you can regroup and rethink. And that's usually very effective with people that you're very close to, where there's lots of emotional triggers going off, because you know them well and they know you well.
It's like that old piece of marriage advice. Everyone says, don't go to bed angry. And when my sister got married, I remember my aunt told her, go to bed angry. Like, take some time, you know, to think it through.
But then come back to it.
Sure.
Because if you just ignore it, then those feelings can flare up again because you're frustrated. So that's key as well.
You mentioned friends and people who we're close to. Sometimes those people know us best and they can manipulate us. So how can we say something, even to close friends, so we're not going to get manipulated?
Well, what you want to use here is what we call the broken record technique, where you state something and then you just repeat it. Maybe you're having a discussion with a spouse over finances and you say, I feel frustrated when we don't agree about our finances. Then they try to manipulate you and you come back to that same phrase. I feel frustrated when we don't agree about our finances. Or, you know, you have a coworker that wants to change a meeting and is trying to manipulate you there. You might say, I can meet you at 1 o'clock, but 2 o'clock won't work for me today. So it's clear and it's direct and it's sharing your feelings and opinions without the anger and the anxiety becoming involved, because the more effective we are at this, and it's a skill that we have to learn, it's not built into our DNA, like I say, it will decrease your stress and increase your confidence, and there's something very empowering about that.
I almost don't want to make this analogy because I know you're coming from a sincere place with helpful advice, but hearing that repeating technique you're talking about, I think the media often hears that from politicians. When they ask a question, they continue to come back to their point.
Yeah.
They call skirting the issue.
Right. Well, and maybe there's a lesson to learn there, though, to punch home what you're passionate about and what means the most to you in a way that, you know, comes across with confidence as you're talking about.
Well, especially when it comes to being manipulated, because you don't want to cross over into those feelings of aggression, and you don't want to withdraw because then you build up anger and, you know, you feel like you're becoming that doormat. Like I say, assertive and aggressive, it's a very fine line. It's that middle ground between being bullied and being a doormat.
As you were starting, I was a little bit nervous about being assertive and aggressive, but as you gave some examples, I appreciate when someone can communicate concisely and I know exactly what they mean. I might not agree with them, but I know exactly what they're thinking about, so it's actually a good skill to have.
Absolutely.
You can be kind and assertive. We like that.
You can.
Vikki
Direct and
demonstrated
to
that
the
well.
point.
Thank you.
Yes,
Always good to have you.
thanks for having me.
Hey, coming up next.